Can I tell you a secret? Canada was never really on my knitting radar until I started researching for this video. And then suddenly I was like, wait a second, they are Canadian and they are Canadian too? What I found was a country bursting with talent, quietly confident, incredibly stylish designer who shaped the way knitters around the world dress and knit. From laid-back layers to refined textures, from the West Coast to the East, Canadian knitwear designers are doing something really special. And today we're going to take a closer look. And to celebrate this episode all about Canadian knitwear designers and their amazing patterns, I am also hosting a little giveaway, which I'm going to talk more about later on in the video. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll explore what makes Canadian knitting culture unique. Then I'll introduce you to 8 amazing designers you'll definitely want to follow and 22 of their amazing knitting patterns. So grab your knitting project, make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, get cozy, and let's head north. Today we are heading across the Atlantic to a country that I didn't expect to fall in love with quite so deeply. Canada. Knitting in Canada is shaped by more than just long winters, but that definitely also plays a role. Canada is a vast bilingual country with rich regional diversity, and that's reflected in its knitting culture too. From the cozy, rugged textures you might find in British Columbia or the Maritimes, to the refined urban styles coming out of cities like Montreal and Toronto, Canadian knitwear reflects both practicality and artistry. Historically, knitting was a necessity, especially in rural and coastal areas where warm garments were essential for daily life. Knitting was passed down through the generations, while knitters shared their patterns and techniques with each other, often adapting them to the yarns that were available at that specific time. Early European settlers brought knitting traditions to Canada, which then became intertwined with the traditions of the Coast Salish people, who developed the iconic Cowegian sweater. Here you can see an example of this classic Cowegian sweater design. It originates during the late 19th century. Several knitters from various Coast Salish communities around Vancouver Island and the mainland of British Columbia continue to create and sell these beautiful, authentic sweaters. The brand Knit with Purpose, for example, has a team of indigenous knitters who knit these beautiful, intricate sweaters by hand and are dedicated to preserving their cultural heritage through their craft. I am going to link their website in the description box below, along with everything else that I am mentioning in this video. Today, that knitting legacy continues, but with a modern twist. There are yarn stores all across the country that also double as creative hubs. There is a strong online community, and events like Knit City Vancouver or Knit City Montreal bring knitters across the country together. And it's not just about the patterns. Canadian yarn is also very special. The country's climate and geography supports a number of domestic hardy sheep breeds like the Rideau Arcot and the Canadian Arcot. Those two sheep breeds are mainly bred for their meat, but the Rideau Arcot sheep also produce a medium quality fleece. While Canada doesn't have the same scale of wool production as countries like New Zealand or the UK, it makes up for that with an incredible community of small-scale farmers and indie dyers. You'll find rustic, minimally produced wool from local mills like Custom Wooler Mills in Alberta, which you can see here, as well as beautifully hand-dyed yarns from dyers like Julie Esselin, Lichen and Lace, or Sweet Georgia yarns. Many of these yarns are deeply rooted in place, inspired by forests, lakes, and the changing seasons. Now that we've set the scene, let's meet some of the incredible Canadian designers that are shaping the Canadian knitting scene today. From timeless wardrobe staples to bold creative statement pieces, these are the names that kept popping up again and again, and each one brings something unique to the table. Whether you already have some of those patterns in your knitting queue or are completely new to these designers, I am certain that you are going to find plenty of inspiration here. And since I unfortunately cannot show all of the beautiful designs from Canadian knitwear designers in this video, as always I have created a knitting pattern bundle on Ravelry, and this contains more than 100 different knitting patterns from Canadian designers. You should definitely check it out. The link is in the description box below. Let's start with a name you've probably heard before, even if you didn't realize that she is Canadian. Heidi Kirrmaier is known for her beautifully simple and seamless constructions. Patterns like Vitamin D, Sunshine Coast or Shell Seeker are absolute classics. I love how approachable her construction is, but with enough clever shaping to keep things interesting. The top that I am wearing today is a design by Heidi Kirrmaier as well. And if you have watched some of my previous videos, you might already have seen me wear this top because I absolutely love it. This design is called Night Sky, and it is just the perfect summer top in my opinion. It has this beautiful lace detail both on the sleeves and the bottom hem, and it is knitted from the bottom up, and even the decreases on the yoke look like a beautiful design feature to me. I can highly recommend this pattern of Heidi. Another knitting pattern from Heidi that I've knitted myself is called Snowflower. It is this beautiful colorwork yoke pullover, but unfortunately I don't have it anymore, so I cannot show you, but I am going to put up a picture for you. This was one of the very first sweaters that I've ever knitted, and I did not make a gauge swatch beforehand, so the sweater turned out just a bit too small for me, so that's why I do not have it with me anymore. But it is a very beautiful design in my opinion, and definitely something that you could even do if you are more of a beginner knitter. One of her patterns that I have had in my queue for the longest time and that I would absolutely love to have as part of my handmade wardrobe is called Such a Winter's Day. I love the look of this design. It has this refined look. It's classic and elegant at the same time, and I think this is a wonderful piece to have in one's own handmade wardrobe. If you happen to like Heidi's designs just as much as I do, I am very happy to announce that Heidi has very generously agreed to gift one of her beautiful patterns to one of you. All you have to do is leave a comment down below letting me know which knitting pattern of Heidi Kirrmaier you would like to knit. And I'm going to draw the winner exactly 1 week from now and then announce it in a community post here on YouTube. Please also add your Ravelry username so that Heidi can gift you the pattern. And thank you so much to Heidi for sponsoring this amazing giveaway. The next Canadian knitwear designer that I would like to talk about is Claudia Quintanilla. She is the founder and owner of UKnit, which is a beautiful yarn store and also a pattern brand that is based in Toronto. Claudia's designs are soft, feminine, and often inspired by nature. Patterns like the Alba tee, Betty, and the Ariel pullover are on my personal to knit list. She also has an eye for photography and styling, which makes everything feel so inviting. Claudia has written several books, and she wrote one for children's patterns called Making Memories, for example, and that contains 25 different patterns. And I especially like her book called Memory Lane Embellished Knits to Cherish that came out in September of 2024. Now, if you know me, you know that I absolutely love embroidery, and Claudia very thoughtfully combined knitting with embroidery and also beading in this book. Claudia is originally from El Salvador in Central America, and she then later on emigrated to Canada. And since she has such an interesting story, I thought it would be very fun to hear directly from her. So let's hear what Claudia herself has to say now.
Hi, my name is Claudia Quintanilla. I'm a knitwear designer that live in Toronto for 35 years. I'm originally from El Salvador. First of all, I would like to thanks Annika for inviting me here, and thanks all of you for listening to what I want to say. Design is my life. I design every day, all day. It's my full-time job. I get all the pleasure, and everything I do is about design. I get inspiration from everything, especially from memories, movies, smells, books, dreams, nature, pieces of art. Inspiration is infinitive, and the source is knowing us, is around us, and all of you can get inspiration from anything that surrounds you. Today, I would like to show you a few of my sweaters, and especially one of them because I made the decision that my sweater should be relieved today in Ravelry, that it can be relieved in the same time than this show. I'm going to show you my sweater called Divina that is going to be relieved today, and it's here in white, and it's made with double mohair, and it's meant to be very oversized sweater, and it's accompanied by this Divino skirt. And I don't going to go into the technical details because I know Annika does way better job than I am. And here is the same sweater that I haven't had time to blog. And this is another Divino made with another yarn. It's made with cashmere lace and lace mohair. And it's a little different than this one because this one is less transparent, so you can appreciate a bit better the stitch. So this is Divina, and it's coming out today. I want to show you another two sweaters that have just come out the last 2 weeks, and one of these is Beale, and I just showing it to you because it's a very simple regular sweater for beginners, but I add these little details of pearl buttons that I think it make it more interesting. Again, another sweater easy to make and really good for autumn and spring is this sweater called Chest that was released just 2 weeks ago, and it's great for the autumn because you can layer things under, and it's easy to make and very, very pragmatic. I don't know how good would be to put it inside a jacket just because the sleeves are really big. And to say goodbye, I'm going to show you two sweaters that Annika said that she really liked. I mean, she said that she liked these 3 sweaters a lot, and they happen to be my favorite ones too. This is Betty, that was inspired in a silk top that I really love, and I have worn this sweater so much. I think this is the sweater that embraces more my style. And I'm going to show you 2 sweaters from my book, Memory Lane. This one, just because Annika loves embroidery and I love embroidery in knits. This one was embroidery with butterflies and was inspired by a relationship in my childhood when my uncle and me were to hang butterflies, and it's have the most beautiful memories in each butterfly. And the last one, but for me, the most important one is wings. Why wings is so important for me? Well, wings is really important for me because it was dedicated to a collective memory. It's inspired in a song by Heidi Kirrmaier that is called Sin Miedo, means without fear. And this song is dedicated to women who have died in feminicide. She said, their vida is really hard and we grow wings. So that's why the name of the sweater is Wings. And each crystal represents the life of a woman who have been killed in feminicide. And the crystal shine like a star. And that is how the memories of these women remain with us. So I just want to say thank you for listening to my explanations from my sweater, and it's been a pleasure to be here. Again, thanks Annika for inviting me, and thanks all of you for listening to my explanations of my sweaters.
Thank you so much, Claudia, for taking the time to share your story with us. And in addition, Claudia also very generously offered to set up a coupon code for her patterns just for you. I am going to put the details on the screen for you, and I am so amazed by this generosity. Thank you so much to Claudia. Next up is Melissa Clulow. Melissa is one of the co-founders of the iconic yarn store Espace Tricot that is based in Montreal. She has since moved on and is now the founder and owner of Sonder Yarn Co, a yarn company that offers 7 different yarn bases in beautiful colorways. All of the yarns are synthetic free and non-superwash, so I highly recommend that you check them out, and I also have a couple of them here to show you. For example, this is her silk mohair base called Halo. And the colorway that I have here is called Petrichor, and this is a beautifully soft silk mohair that I am so looking forward to knit with, hopefully very soon. And I have another one of her yarns. This is the Sunday Morning Luxe Sport, which is a blend of blue-faced Leicester, Mesham and Cashmere. And the colorway that I have here is called Cover to Cover. But of course, Melissa is also a knitwear designer. Her patterns are timeless, classic, and a lot of them are even available for free, which is absolutely amazing. For example, this is her turtle dove cardigan that I've had in my queue for the longest time. This is one of her free patterns, and it was first published in Line magazine issue 18. Another free pattern is this gorgeous classic sweater that is called La Rentrée. I really like the puffy sleeves and the otherwise minimal look of this design. Now, you cannot talk about Canadian knitwear designers without mentioning Tin Can Knits. Alexa Ludman and Emily Wessel are friends, and they have been designing knitting patterns together since 2010, and they have created one of the most beginner-friendly, inclusive pattern brand out there. Patterns like Flex, Rye and Love Notes are iconic patterns, and they are graded for all ages and sizes. I also love their commitment to teaching. Their tutorials are so clear and empowering. Personally, I have knitted the Rye socks before, a free and very straightforward pattern. I'm going to put up a picture for you because unfortunately I do not have them with me anymore. This is a very simple, straightforward sock with this beautiful garter section that is on the top of the foot, and otherwise it's a simple stockinette pattern, and I can highly recommend that you give those a try. I love to knit them. And one more pattern from Tin Can Knits that I've made myself is this sweater here, which is called Mountain Mist. This is a gorgeous sweater that I loved to make. It is from their book Strange Brew, which I have here, and that I can also highly recommend. This is a book featuring different colorwork patterns, a lot of colorwork yoke sweaters, but also accessories, and it even contains a recipe so that you can create your own colorwork yoke design. Moving on to the next designer, and I would like to talk about Saskie Co. Now, if you have not heard of Saskie Co before, you are in for a treat. The brand was previously known as the Petite Knitter, but it was renamed in January of 2025. Wei Chien is the designer behind Saskie Co, and she describes her brand as an ode to her senior dwarf bunny Saskatchewan, short Saskie. Wei Chien is based in the Canadian Arctic and has one of the most cohesive design aesthetics that I've ever seen. Her patterns also feel so perfect for where she lives. She clearly draws a lot of inspiration from nature, the wildlife, and her surrounding area in general. I mean, just look at her beautiful Instagram feed. The pictures alone feel like a work of art. This stunning colorwork top is called Spring Fling, and I just think it is absolutely gorgeous. You can knit it with either short or long sleeves, and it's just so cute. And these are her Sick socks, which are such an adorable and whimsical design. Although the animals on the leg of the sock look like squirrels, those are actually Sick. Sick, also known as Arctic ground squirrels, are native to the Arctic. You have probably already noticed on the pictures that Wei Qian has swapped out the main and the contrast color for the two socks. She actually does that a lot with her sock patterns, and I think it is such a cute and whimsical thing to do. In just reinforces her brand so nicely. Wei Qian has also written a book called Arctic Knits, which features more than 15 different knitting patterns, both for garments and accessories. Next up, let's look at a designer whose work feels like wearable art, Jennifer Beale. Her lacework and geometric colorwork patterns are just breathtaking. Think shawls that look like stained glass or garments that are shaped in really unexpected, beautiful ways. Jennifer is an atmospheric scientist, but after her son was born, she switched careers and is now a knitwear designer. Let's have a look at two of her beautiful patterns now. For example, this sweater is called Villa Marie. It is knitted sideways with a steek at the hem and neck. It also features this beautiful lace pattern, and I think it looks so unique and special. Or look at this top called St. John's Without. Such a stunning lace tee that is worked in pieces. You start with the front and back panels of ribbing that are worked top down, then stitches are picked up along the sides of the panels and the lace is worked to the sides and joined with a 3-needle bind off. Such an interesting construction, and I think the top looks so lovely. Next up, let's talk about Marie-Christine from Tricot MCL. Now, I do have to admit I was not familiar with Marie-Christine's work prior to starting the research for this video, but when I came across her on Ravelry, I knew immediately that I had to include her in this video because her design aesthetic is just so beautiful. I mean, just look at these beautiful patterns. This cardigan, for example, is called Romance, and I think it's just perfect. I would absolutely love to knit this one for myself. So feminine and timeless with the slightly scalloped button band and the puffy sleeves. Or this one here, it's called Menuet, is just so gorgeous as well. I love the unusual shaping, the lace detail, and again the scallops and the puffy sleeves. And she even has her own line of merino yarn. And another designer that I would like to introduce you to is Chantal Miyagissima from Knitatude. She focuses specifically on adventurous beginners, which I absolutely love. She says, if you know how to knit and purl both flat and in the round, have knit a scarf and a hat and want to dive into making your first garment, you found the right place. I promise you can make one of my sweater patterns. Each pattern is based on simple, easy-to-get construction and modern, clean lines, written for the beginner knitters who want to explore and expand their knitting skills. One of her patterns that has been in my favorites for the longest time is called the Easy Eyelet Yoke Dress. I feel like this is a pattern that you can easily dress up or down, and it's just so pretty. Or look at her Snowfall Sweater Scarf. Such a unique shape and interesting idea. In her pictures, she has combined it with a very elegant dress. It almost looks like a wedding dress, but I think this piece would also be so cozy to snuggle up in while relaxing on the couch on a cold winter's day. So, what ties all of these Canadian knitwear designers together? I would say it's clarity, wearability, and thoughtfulness. Their designs are often seamless, size inclusive, and created to truly fit into your life. Whether it is a sweater to wear every day or a top that you want to make for a special occasion. Canadian knitting patterns feel deeply rooted and deeply creative at the same time. Before making this video, I had no idea how many designers that I personally admire are actually Canadian. And that's one of the things that I love most about this Knitting Around the World series. It constantly reshapes how I see the knitting world. And now I have even more patterns in my knitting queue and feel so inspired to keep creating these videos for you. I would love to know, have you knitted anything from a Canadian designer yet? Or which pattern that I showed you today did you enjoy most? I hope you will stick around and join me on my next stop in the Knitting Around the World series. Until then, happy knitting. Bye guys!